"A lady to see you, Tichette," announced the pock-marked guard through the iron-barred door of the holding cell. "I don't know any ladies." The voice from within, drowsy, deep, British-accented, and vaguely bored, did not belong here. It was a voice meant for the opera box, the ballroom, the polo field, not this fetid little police station cage. Nell's view of William Hewitt was limited by her position against the wall of the cramped visitor's alcove, and the fact that it was only the cell's door that was comprised of open grillwork. The walls were solid brick. From her angle, all she could make out through the barred door were two long legs in fawn trousers, right ankle propped on left knee. A hand appeared, and struck a match against the sole of a well-made black shoe. The hand was long-fingered, capable, a deft hand with a scalpel, she would guess, or a bistry. "Her name is Miss Chapel," said the guard as he hung Nell's snow-dampened coat and scarf on a hook. "She's from the Society for the Relief of Convicts and Indigents." The aroma of tobacco wafted from the cell. "I don't suppose it would do any good to point out that I am neither a convict nor an indigent." "You'll be a convict soon as they manage to drag your sorry," the guard glanced at Nell, "drag you in front of a jury. And then you'll just be another murdering wretch, swinging from a rope over at the county jail." Nell clutched to her chest the scratchy woolen blanket and Bible she brought. She hated this. She hated being in this monstrous brick box of a building, surrounded by blue uniformed cops, who all seemed to stare at her as if they knew who she really was, and why this was the last place she should be. She hated the way Gracie had cried and reached for her, squirming in Paola's arms, as she put on her coat to come here. And she really hated having to confront this man, who may or may not have cut another man's throat last night in a delirium born of opium or lunacy. "You can give 'em them things, ma'am, but I'll have to check 'em first." The guard held his hand out. "The blanket, then the Bible." He unfolded and shook out the former, fanned the pages of the latter, and handed them back. "You can sit here if you've a mind to pray or what have you." The guard scraped a bench away from the wall and set it up, facing the iron-barred door from about 5 feet away. "You'd best keep your distance. If he tries anything, like grabbing you through the bars, or throwing matches at you, you give me a holla. Loud, 'cause I'll be all the way down the hall." Matches? Nell thought about the flammable crinoline shaping her skirt, and the newspaper stories of women burned alive when their dresses brushed candles or gas jets. She stood motionless after the guard left, listening to the receding jangle of his keys, as he returned to his station at the far end of the hall. "I'll take the blanket." The long legs shifted, bedropes squeaked. "You can keep the Bible." With a steadying breath, Nell stepped away from the wall and approached the door to the cell, staying a few feet back as the guard had advised. Its occupant was standing now, his weight resting on one hip, drawing on a cigarette as he watched her come into view. He was tall, somewhat over 6 feet, with hair falling like haphazard strokes of black ink into indolent eyes. His left eyelid was swollen and discolored, with a crusted over cut at the outer edge. 2 more contusions stained his beard-darkened jaw on that side, and his lower lip was split. They interrogated him at some length last night. Even unshaved and unshorn, his face badly beaten, there could be no mistaking that this man was Viola Hewitt's son. It wasn't just his coloring, the black hair and fair skin, but his height, his bearing, the patrician planes and hollows of his face. His gaze swept over her from top to bottom as he exhaled a plume of smoke. But it felt different than when Harry did it. With Harry there was always a speculative glimmer behind the roguish audacity in his eyes, a spark of real heat that he could never fully disguise. The eyes of the man assessing her at the moment betrayed no such illicit interest. He took her measure as indifferently as if she were a mannequin in a shop window. Nell felt like a mannequin sometimes, or a doll, given Viola Hewitt's enthusiasm for dressing her. "I'm too old and too crippled to wear the newest styles," she would tell Nell, "so you must wear them for me." The dresses she ordered were always the latest Paris fashion, but discreet in cut and color as befitted a governess. No stripes or plaids, no swags, ruffles, bows, or rosettes, no feathered hats. Today's costume was typical. A gunmetal day dress with a sleek new princess skirt and a small front-tilted black hat. The only jewelry she wore on a regular basis was the pretty little gold pendant watch Viola had given her their first Christmas together. Just this morning, Viola had praised her restrained elegance. Nell didn't think she would ever understand how rich people could interpret such dreariness as elegant. As for William Hewitt, he might have passed for something akin to elegant this time yesterday, but now he was in his shirt sleeves. Moreover, his shirt was flecked near the top with reddish dark stains. Whether his own blood or Ernest Tully's, she had no way of knowing. His collar and tie were both missing, giving him a decidedly disreputable air. Adding to the effect was the cigarette, which Nell had never seen a man of his station smoke, although she'd heard they were catching on in certain fast circles. He came toward her, hand outstretched. She stumbled back, dropping the Bible and knocking over the bench. He looked at her through the bars, not smiling exactly, although there was a hint of something in his eyes that might have been amusement. "Idiot!" Nell berated herself. She knew not to show fear around dangerous men. A man with the predatory instinct was like a wolf. If he sensed your weakness, you were done for. It was a hard lesson, but one she'd learned well. She was out of practice. That was it. Too much soft living amongst civilized people. He gestured toward the blanket wadded up in her arms. "I was just reaching for thee." "Of course. Here." Swallowing her trepidation, she stepped just close enough to push the blanket through the bars. The unbuttoned cuffs of his sleeves, which should have been white, were stiff and brown, as if encrusted with mud. But of course, it wasn't mud. He took the blanket, shook it out, and draped it over his shoulders, chafing his arms through it. Curious, since it was quite warm in here, thanks to a wood stove out in the hall. "Good day, Miss Chapel." He turned his back to her in brusque dismissal. Retrieving the Bible, she stammered. I actually need to." "Trust me when I assure you that any time spent praying over me would be quite wasted." He crossed with a slight limp to the cot he'd been sitting on before, one of two against opposite walls of the windowless cell. Both mattresses were sunken and lumpy, their ticking soiled with a constellation of stains that didn't bear thinking about. There was no pillow, no furniture, just an empty stone china chamber pot in one corner, and a tin bowl of gruel studded with cigarette butts in the other. He flung his cigarette into the gruel and sat again stiffly. Tucking the blanket around him, he leaned back against the wall, yawned, and closed his eyes. "I didn't come here to pray over you, Dr. Hewitt," Nell said. If he had any reaction to her use of his real name, he kept it to himself. "Your mother sent me," she said. He opened his eyes, but didn't look at her. "She's broken-hearted over what's—" "Go away, Miss Chapel." He shut his eyes again. "It's Miss Sweeney, actually." "Go away, miss." He looked at her, interest lighting his eyes for the first time since she'd arrived. It was the Irish surname, she knew. He glanced again at her fine dress, her kid gloves and chic hat, and for the first time he really looked at her face. Who are you? My name is Nell Sweeney. I work for your mother. Welcome. Join me as I review another of my all-time favorite books, Still Life with Murder, by P.B. Ryan, here on the Bored Goddess Book Reviews. Welcome once more, Super Sleuths, to my humble library, where this week I'm pleased to review a riveting historical thriller filled with suspense, Still Life with Murder by P.B. Ryan. Please remember that by liking and subscribing to my channel, you are helping me carry on uncovering unique stories, and to keep creating video book reviews for your enjoyment and entertainment. While you're at it, please feel free to toss a comment or two my way below with thoughts on the books I review, as well as things you'd be interested in seeing added to my videos or my reviews. Or you can just say hi. And before another moment goes by, thanks to each of you who have become a part of my little gatherings. You make each video worthwhile. If you are new to my channel, let me introduce you to the unparalleled Mad Max. This little fluffball leads a team of avian geniuses who work tirelessly to gather the utmost accurate and dependable data, giving us a rating that surpasses the wildest dreams of artificial intelligence. So stick around, my friends, and I'll disclose their extraordinary ratings at the conclusion of this review. Okay, Max, shall we set off on an enticing adventure of deductive reasoning? Then let's unlock the door to the past and delve into a mysterious murder. This week's humble offering is the undeniably remarkable Still Life with Murder by P.B. Ryan, part of the Nell Sweeney mystery series. Before we go further, I should note that this book is intended for mature audiences, specifically older teens and adults, due to scenes of violence, historical drug use, and descriptions of adult themes. The author has skillfully crafted these crucial scenes, which hold significant importance within the story. But it is important to acknowledge that some viewers may be sensitive to these topics. Nell Sweeney's life had always been challenging, as was the case for many of Irish heritage during that period. Nonetheless, on a tumultuous evening, she and Dr. Greaves, the man who rescued her, were summoned to attend a complicated delivery at the Hewitt Mansion in Cape Cod. It was during this event that her life took a transformative turn, with the arrival of a blessed baby girl. She becomes attached to both her young charge and Mrs. Hewitt, the matriarch of the wealthy Hewitt clan, who gives Nell the opportunity to live and work in luxury. Unable to bear children of her own, in raising this wonderful and loving little girl, Nell realizes a long-held dream and gains a level of respectability which would have otherwise eluded her. Years pass, and Nell becomes well established within the Hewitts' Boston home. However, one day shocking news arrives. One of the Hewitt sons, who was believed to be lost in the brutal war between the states, has suddenly emerged in the local jail accused of a heinous murder. While Mrs. Hewitt understandably wants to rescue her son, Mr. Hewitt seems to desire his execution. As Nell tries to save this enigmatic man, who she finds almost enticingly mysterious, she is reluctantly drawn back into a world she thought she had left behind. Now, in her quest to rescue him, what hidden secrets will she uncover buried deep in the shadows of the past? I have long been a fan of this book, as well as the series of which it is a part. These stories possess an irresistible allure, offering a tantalizing glimpse into a bygone era while remaining remarkably relatable. There are few stories which tick all the boxes for me when it comes to characters, time periods, and overall structure. But this is one of those rare gems. And frankly, I have a real weakness when it comes to well-crafted murder mysteries, especially those of the cozy variety. I was on the hunt for a historical mystery that would keep me guessing. Modern forensic shows solve everything with science. And I mean, come on, where's the fun in that? I wanted a good, old-fashioned whodunit that relied on sleuthing and solid detective work. And boy did I find it in this book the moment I read the cover blurb. And the ensuing pages did not disappoint. The characters in this book are truly something special. Each one has their own unique personality and story, which adds so much depth to the overall experience. From the broken man haunted by the horrors of war, to the seamstress forced to become a woman of the night, they all come to life in such a seamless way. It's like you're right there with them, experiencing everything firsthand, so that I wouldn't have been surprised to find them here in the room with me. Further, I adored the way the story seemed to transport me to 1860s Boston. It is a time and place that I am not well acquainted with, yet I find myself on those snow-covered streets, strolling alongside Nell as she relentlessly pursues answers. From the elegant Brahmin shops to the mysterious back alley boarding houses, every corner of the city holds a secret waiting to be unraveled. Finally, the dialogue is absolutely delightful. I was thoroughly entertained by every single interaction between the characters, whether the subtle hints of history or within the development of relationships. It is incredible how the author managed to create such a rich and immersive world in such a short book. I'll be honest, this book was well edited, beautifully paced, and just plain enjoyable, leaving me eagerly anticipating the next installment. I simply can't think of anything that I didn't love about this book. About the only criticism I can invoke is that the book was too short. However, the ending was so neatly tied up that additional storytelling would have been superfluous. Okay, Max, it's time to rate this book. Are you ready? Max, my man, you are absolutely right. Max and I totally agree. There is only one possible rating for this incredible book. 5 ducks. I have linked to the Amazon affiliate page for this book below. Please do also check out this author's many other incredible stories. Have you read Still Life with Murder? I would love to discuss it with you in the comments or my Discord, also linked below. I am also on Instagram, Goodreads, Facebook, and X. The links are down there. Would you like to be part of the Goddess Verse? Join in by sending me a coffee. The link is listed below. Every little bit helps me keep making my weekly videos. And I'll send a shout out to you here in one of my reviews. And remember to share your affinity to our little world and encourage others to join us. So guys, that's it for now. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Adios till next Wednesday. May your day be epic and may awesomeness follow you like a puppy needing hugs. Bye all. Right angle, propped on left.
Ankle.
What'd I say?
Angle.
Oh, when you gotta prop your angle. She's from the Society of Convicts.
No, she's from the Society for the Relief of Convicts
right.
and Indigents.
Well, she can't even remember what she said later on, so it's not my fault. I was just reaching for the dialogue.
Like,
she's broken harder. Hardered?
Yeah. Welcome. Join me as I...
You can chop that.
Don't sit on people's heads. It's rude. We're doing the Vogue dance. Yeah!